It's Rockline live from Hollywood and New York City. Things kind of quiet in our Hollywood studios this evening, as I'm just about the only one sitting here along with our crew. All of our guests are in New York this evening at the WPLJ studios, and we're kind of being bi-coastal this evening, running everything back and forth from one coast to another via the satellite, telephone lines, all kinds of things. 12 years as a group, 12th album just released, Renegade. They started in Dublin, Ireland. Thin Lizzy has for years been an international band in both personnel and the allegiance of their fans. Truly a rock and roll survivor, Phil Lynott has flown from London to New York just to be with you on Rockline. Welcome, Phil.
How you doing, Bob?
Doing fine. Glad to have you with us this evening. You not only are a bass player, a vocalist, a songwriter, a rock and roller, but you try and integrate as many other things into your life as you possibly can. I know that you've even judged a Miss World competition at one point. How'd you get hooked up with that, Phil?
They asked me to look at women, so I looked at them.
Look up women. I can't say the rest of that line. Look up women, yes. Also, something that I wanted to ask you about. You have been published at least a couple of times that I know of. Are you basically a poet?
No, I've done books of poetry, though. I did 3 books, and I'm working on my 4th book at the moment. But insofar as calling myself a poet, it's a bit artsy-fartsy to call myself a poet, so really.
And yet, how many books have you had published, Phil?
3.
3 of them. Let's listen to one of your songs. We're going to check out a live version of The Boys Are Back in Town from Thin Lizzy. Then we'll be back with Phil Lynott live on the Rockline. We're back live from Hollywood and New York on Rockline on the Global Satellite Network. Our numbers to call to speak with Phil Lynott are 800-421-3222. That's toll free. Collect in California, 213-520-5000. Take a phone call here, Phil. We have a gentleman named Dean listening in Atlanta to 96 Rock, and he's on Rockline. Hi, Dean.
Hi, Phil.
Hiya, Dean.
How you doing?
Okay.
Alrighty. I was wondering if Dino's Bar and Grill is a real place, and did all the happenings in the song "The Boys Back in Town" kind of like happen there with you and the guys in the group?
Yeah. Well, for me, they did. Maybe not the guys in the group. Dino's Bar and Grill was a place in Manchester, in England. And I also think it had a lot to do with that TV series 77 Sunset Strip. You know, that used to be Dino's as well. So I think it's a mixture of both, you know.
Dino's just got to be a happening spot, yeah. Go ahead, Phil.
All the other things happened in the song. Well, to me personally, yeah. I mean,
our next call is from Maryland, and we have Joe on the line. Joe, are you listening to WAVA?
Yeah, sure am. Good evening, Phil. How you doing?
Okay, Joe.
Good news. Listen, I read that you very recently did a concert in Madrid, Spain, without guitarist Scott Gorham. I'd love to know how that came off.
Hey, how'd you get that one? That was a good one.
That's in the New Sounds.
Yeah, right. Well, what happened was he got bronchial thing. He got like a real bad cold, and his visa, his American passport ran out. You know, so they warned him, because we did a gig in Portugal before we played Madrid and Spain. We were in Spain and then we went to Portugal, right? And they warned him on the way out that he should get his visa checked. And then on the way back in, they wouldn't let him back in because his visa was out of date. And he was feeling rough anyway. So he said, you go ahead and I'll go home. So he went back to London and was checked into a hospital, and he's okay, you know.
And Scott is from where, Phil? From Glendale, California.
Los Angeles.
The American in the band. We're going to listen to a song from Renegade, your latest release. And this is a song that I hold dear to my heart, sitting here in Hollywood on Rockline. Down on Your Luck, Hollywood, Thin Lizzy. Hollywood, Down on Your Luck, written by Phil Lynott and Scott Gorham. That's essentially a song about Scott leaving Southern California, going to New York, and then on the plane to London to become part of Thin Lizzy. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment on Rockline with Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy. The Red Rockers, Sammy Hagar. A week from tonight, we'll be visiting on Rockline with Asia and the Outlaws. We are live now from Hollywood and New York City with Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy. Back to the telephones we go, Phil. Listening in San Diego on KGB-FM is Marty. Hi.
Hello, Phil. How you doing?
How you doing, Marty?
All righty. I know you're a real hard-working band, and 12 albums is a real credible record. But do you feel your overall lack of publicity and acceptance is due to the fact that you don't tour extensively, especially on the West Coast?
In America, yeah. I mean, we don't put enough effort into America. I think that's why Thin Lizzy has never achieved the success that we have in Europe, like in America, because we seem to concentrate more on the support we have. But it's a problem of success. I mean, you've got to be loyal to the supporters that are loyal to you, and I think we've been a bit unfair on our American supporters insofar as that we really haven't spent enough time here to crack the market, as they say.
What would the reason for that be, Phil? Just not enough time to be everywhere at once?
Yeah, you can't stretch yourself everywhere, you know. I mean, like, we're very, very popular in Europe, so, I mean, it does take up X amount of the year, and then you got to make an album, and then, you know, so... And then, of course, there's money involved. So if you can be popular somewhere and make money, or come to America and maybe just break even, then, you know, and you've got guys that manage you and they're into just taking money, then it's going to sort of slow down how many times you come to a place where you just break even, you know?
Jeff is listening to one of America's great radio stations, WYSP in Philadelphia, and he's on the Rock Line. Hi, Jeff.
How you doing, Phil?
How you doing, Jeff?
Okay, I was wondering, your solo album, Solo in Soho?
Yeah.
That was your only one?
Yeah, I got a new one coming out soon.
Oh, you do? Tell us about that. When?
April, May, June, July. It's called Fatalistic Attitude. I've got sort of some of the people that were on the last album, and it's more bizarre. I mean, there's no structure per se. It's not like with a Thin Lizzy song, it's arranged by the band and it has a verse, chorus, guitar solo. With the solo stuff, you know, I'm just totally free to do anything I want.
Is that why you do solo records then, Phil? I always thought you were the leader of Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, but being the leader doesn't mean, you know, it's not a dictatorship, it is a democracy.
Let's take another call from the desert area, Tucson, Arizona. Omar is listening to KWFM in Tucson. Hi, Omar.
Hi. I was wondering, what album do you consider your greatest piece of work? And also, I'm a singer for bands in Tucson. I don't know whether or not you smoke, but I was wondering if you do you find that it harms your voice?
No, it makes me high, actually. I smoked cigarettes for a long, long time. And I found it does make me more husky. But at the moment I got a bad cold, so I don't smoke at all till I get rid of this cold. The best album I think we've done that represents the band live, I think, is Live and Dangerous, because it has the audience in it. And I think Thin Lizzy's show depends so much on the audience when you see the band live. I always think we have difficulty in the studio trying to capture the aggression, because in the studio you're introvert, whereas on stage you're being extrovert, and I like to be extrovert.
What's the story behind the next song we're going to play, Phil, Angel of Death? Is there any story that goes with this tune?
Yeah, I was reading a book called The Prophecies of Nostradamus, which is a French philosopher who predicted like a lot of things that have happened, and I'm not really a great believer in the unknown, but he did get a fair amount of things right. And I wanted to... The riff and the music to the song was so heavy, so I wanted it to be demonic and like Armageddon. But I also wanted to question the whole basis behind this. Is there an unknown? And so the key line for me in the song is, do you believe this to be true? I asked the listener. So that's basically what the song is about.
And this is basically it. Angel of Death on Rockline and the Global Satellite Network.
Bass.
I know you want to speak with Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy. Back to the telephones we go. Listening in Chicago and Loop 98 is Frank. Hi.
Hey, hi, Phil.
How you doing, Frank?
It's an honor to meet you. I just like to ask you how the personnel changes affected the band, because I know you've been with them for so long of a time, and I know you had a couple different guitarists in there, Gary Moore and Brian Robertson, and like, has that brought up any controversy, like with breaking up, or has that ever entered your mind?
Yeah, a lot of people sort of seem to think it's me that chucks out the guitarist, but they all left of their own accord. I think really when you consider we've been together 10 years, and like a group is not like a marriage, for three guitarists, you know, there was Brian Robertson. Well, there was Eric Bell first, and then there was Brian Robertson and Gary Moore. And they've only been the three guitarists that had the gig. I mean, there's been other guys that have been temporary, but, you know, the gig has only belonged to those three. And Snowy now is the new guy, and he worked with Pink Floyd, and he's got, I mean, his pedigree is good, and his playing is even better. So, I mean, it's not that bad for people in 10 years, you know.
And yet, on the other hand, Phil, how long have you been with Brian Downey, the drummer?
Oh, since time immortal. I think we were born together, you know.
Well, you were school chums, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, we go back so long, I can't remember, you know, so...
So you got a good solid nucleus there. It's not like the band has gone through one person.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you compare it to, say, somebody like the Doobie Brothers, I mean, we're safe.
We'll be back with Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy on Rockline after this. Live and dangerous, Thin Lizzy Jailbreak on Rockline. By the way, next week on Rockline, Asia and the Outlaws. 2 weeks from tonight, we'll have Rainbow and Jay Ferguson. Our thanks to Alan and Buck from Blue Oyster Cult, and of course to Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy. When will you be touring America, Phil?
Around about May.
Sometime around May.
Looking forward to it.
All right, you're going to get down to Texas while you're on this tour?
Yeah, there's a few people in Texas I'd like to say hello to. I'll see you in May.
Yeah, I understand you have a couple of friends down there. Sounds like a hot night in Texas to me. Thanks for being on Rockline. I know you've flown in from London to New York to expressly be on the show, and we appreciate that. All right, thank you, Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy. I'm Bob Coburn, and I'll be seeing you in a week.